Right, so you are going to get a question that's very much like this in the exam, and what it will ask you is write an account, and it will pick an incident from the Cold War, and it will say how it became an international crisis. So what it's not doing is not just saying describe the U2 crisis, it's very specifically asking you how it became an international crisis. Now, one way to start this answer is to think to yourself, what do I know about the U2 crisis? What do I know about the shooting down? Because that will get your brain in gear. Now, you may not use everything from this, but it's useful just to get you down. So you might think, it was a pilot, Gary Powers. He was working for the CIA. I remember that. What else happened? Oh, yeah. Eisenhower, he lied. And he said it was a weather plane. So I can remember that. What else was true? Oh, yeah. Khrushchev, he tricked Eisenhower into the lie. I remember that. Oh, yeah. What else do I remember? Oh, yeah. Khrushchev pulls out of the Paris summit that was supposed to happen in 1960. Do I remember anything else? Oh yeah, that's right, I remember he had the pilot and the camera so he could prove. And I remember, oh yeah, that's right, this was about spying. So look, I've written down, it's taken me a minute, and I've just written down some of the things that I remember about it. Now, the point about this question is, it's not just asking you to describe everything you know, it's asking you to think about how it became an international crisis. And the examiner is looking for you in an ideal world to take two things that happened that led this to becoming an international crisis. So if I'm looking at my little plan there, I'm thinking, well, where's it telling me this became an international crisis? Well, I think probably one of the things I should talk about is the fact that as a result Eisenhower lied and he was made to look a fool and Khrushchev tricked him. Now that turned this into just a guy being shot out of the air into being a big international incident. And the other thing I'm thinking about when I look at this is probably this. The fact that he didn't go to that Paris summit. That's another reason this became an international incident, became much more important. Really the question is asking you, how did this thing go from being just shooting down a plane to being something much more important? And I think, for me, those two things make this important. So what am I going to do? I'm going to try and write the thing now. So I'm now going to write it, and I'm going to show you how I would write it. Okay? So what I'm looking for are two ways in which this... So the examiner likes it when you're clear with them. So one way, the shooting down of the U2 plane became an international incident was when Khrushchev tricked Eisenhower. Okay? Eisenhower lied to the world by claiming the plane was a weather plane. And then the Russian leader revealed the camera and pilot. Now, how am I going to link that back to it being an international incident? This was important because it made Eisenhower look foolish and was a propaganda coup for Khrushchev. Now then I'm going to do another one. That might get me my 4 marks, at least. But I want to try and do another way. And I'm not going to repeat the whole of that sentence again. I can just say another way was when Khrushchev pulled out of the Paris summit set for 1960. By doing this peaceful coexistence came to an end, and the USA and the turning over USSR seemed to be enemies again. Now that's great, and I can get probably 6 out of 8 for that. But if to get onto the very, very highest levels, what we're talking about is, can you show how significant each of those was, or say why one was perhaps more significant? So I'm going to show here. This was really very significant because it had long-term consequences. Long-term consequences. The failure to meet led to a worsening of relations which contributed to the building of the Berlin Wall and the Cuban Missile Crisis.